to share this out if any of you are way more interested in the legislation and the funding and all things that are community schools. But community schools comes out of the blueprint for Maryland's future. Community schools exist across the country. Most of them are not legislated and funded like we're fortunate to have here in Maryland. Many of the models are very much community-driven, corporate supported, but the idea behind a community school is that all of a family's needs can be met in one space. We can really wrap our arms around our students and our families and provide them with the wraparound services they need to thrive. Generally speaking, in Maryland, this is an overview. We have, it's legislated, every school receives a set amount of funding every year. They're required to have a registered nurse. So all of our community schools, all of our students and their families have access to a registered nurse right in the school to better meet the health needs of the students. And in addition, they get a community school specialist, manager, coordinator. They're called something different in every single school system across the state. But it is a lead person in a building to really take charge and facilitate implementing the community school strategy in that building. Did I miss
I'll do it. I'll do it.
You're like, there's so many words. I have time to get the plate. Okay. All right. So, in Washington County Public Schools, you can see in the first year, we started with 5 community schools. We have grown now. We are in our 5th year of implementation, and we are up to 18 schools, which is absolutely amazing. I'll get an updated number here soon because we'll have enrollment counts here shortly for the first quarter of the year. But at this point in time, approximately half of our students are attending a community school now, which is very exciting. And we anticipate growing by as many as 5 more schools in the next few years. So this is our model. This was new in Maryland, so Maryland has kind of shifted and grown as we've been implementing the community school strategy over the past few years, and this is our framework. The idea being that in order for all students to flourish, we need to have community partners, school staff and coordinators, youth and families. We need to have enabling conditions that include inclusive decision making. This is huge for our community schools and a very exciting part of the work that we're doing. Actionable data, trusting relationships, so critical, and then shared vision. And certainly our trusting relationships, I can't discount the role our HARC partnership and our teachers that are joining us in our school, building those trust relationships with our kids, that's huge. And also for us, the key practices where HARC is really involved in our work is expanded and enriching learning opportunities. That is exactly what we're doing at our school time, as well as providing a supportive infrastructure, certainly a very strategic partner in helping us meet the needs and interests of our students and families. Again, I'm going to share that out if anybody's interested in getting more of the framework. 2 big important pieces that happen beyond our work with HARC Lighthouse and doing programming, opportunities to engage and get involved. Every single school has to go through a needs assessment process, and I nerd out over all of this stuff, so it's a very exciting time for me. In addition to looking at our school data and our disaggregating all of our data, really seeing where students are, the biggest piece that we're looking at is stakeholder feedback and stakeholder engagement and better understanding the needs. Oftentimes in social services and education, we know what our families need, we know what our students need, we know what's best. This is actually, we're pausing, we're actually hearing from our students and our families what they actually need and how they need to receive it, which is critical in shifting how we do our work. So we have this whole big process that we go through. It is a year-long needs assessment process, which results in about a 60 to 65 page document out of each school. We had 9 that went through the process last year, I have 8 doing it this year, so very excited for that. And that's phase one. And then the next phase is implementation planning. So it's really taking all of that information that we learned from all of the stakeholders, looking at that across all of our data, and then developing a 3-year plan to really meet the needs of our students and our families. And in terms of getting engaged, every single school is required to have an advisory committee. And we have community engagement and stakeholder engagement with community partners as well to inform that planning process. So if anybody is interested, we'll share my information out. Please be in touch, and we'd be glad to have your voices at the table. So wraparound services. I think this is what's most exciting to me about the work of community schools. I was an elementary and special education teacher who fell in love with and was connected with adult education and lifelong learning, workforce development. Spent 17 years doing adult education, really working with all of our parents, the GED classes, ESL classes, and then came back into the education world. And so oftentimes, and even as a parent, it's instruction, it's curriculum, it's all materials, everything, right? Like more of great teachers and more of great curriculum is not our opportunity to change the lives of the kids and families we're trying to serve here in Hagerstown. It is meeting all of their needs. So having the opportunity to not only have the staffing capacity, but also the funding to support all of these wraparound services. So, extended learning time. I started the ones that really overlap with our work with HARC and Lighthouse. Extended learning time, safe transportation to and from school, vision, hearing. So as you look through all of these, what you've probably not seen is kindergarten teacher, 4th grade teacher, right? We're not funding instruction. We are funding the wraparound services that provide our students with the best opportunity to receive the existing instruction and supports that already exist. Our main focus with out of school time, if you head over to the second star on number 10, is enhancing student enrichment experiences. This was so important to us as our team. You'll hear more from Angela later. Really to use this out of school time space. We don't want our after school program to be more school. We want to provide students and their families with opportunities they don't get. We hear you all have, I'm sure, experience between kids, grandkids, that maybe they don't have as much art as they used to, or they don't have access to as much music as they used to. So we've really focused on bringing those enrichment experiences back to the table for them. And improving student attendance. When a student has somebody who is going to love on them and give them a different experience after school, guess what? They don't want to miss school that day. They've got to be there because A, they don't want to miss something, and B, they get these connections and they don't want to let their people down, right? The stuff that they're getting is important. They want to show that by showing up for it. All right, I think that's good. So just some things that we really do focus on in community schools. In the state of Maryland, we actually have one measure for community schools, and that is reducing chronic absenteeism. Everything that we do, build, number one, building relationships, building trusting relationships, right? All of that leads to improved attendance. If kids are there, all of the other stuff follows, right? But we have to get them there. So across our schools, we have a variety of strategies. Tier 1 simply means it's for everybody in the school. Tier 2 might mean that we're looking at a specific cohort of students. We might be looking at our multilingual students. We might be looking at students who are chronically absent and missing more school. We would have very separate strategies for the students, and most importantly, for their families. We're engaging parents in all of the work that we're doing versus just doing things for and to the students at school. So attendance, again, that's a lot of what we do. Extended learning. So working with HARC and Angela has been absolutely amazing. They can tell you extended learning is my biggest passion I have in terms of what we do. And actually, this is where community schools really started. It came out of Maryland Out of School Time Network. So much of the focus of our work in community schools is looking at how we can serve our students and families in that out of school time space. This is our information for last year, and some this year. We've added a few. So we currently have 9 elementary schools and 4 middle schools with after-school programming. It is developed at the school level. That's the thing about a community school. That needs assessment really determines what you're doing in your building. I was at a state meeting a few weeks ago, and somebody from another county said, exactly what it is. Every single one of them, we have 18 right now. They're all doing different things, as well they should be, because what they're doing is based on the needs of their students and families in their building right now. So the goals vary. Some have some academic components, others are very attendance-based. Some are focusing strictly on social-emotional learning. Others are really focused on improving peer interactions and peer-to-staff interactions and what that looks like. So they're all different. Our newest one runs as few as 1 day a week. We have 7 schools now with 4-day-a-week programming. We have schools that are starting out for the first time and they've got about 60 students staying after school, and others that we have 192 and 80 kids on the wait list in that building, right? So last year we were able to serve 2,800 individual students. Total registrations, because we run across multiple marking periods, was over 8,000, right? But we were able to serve 2,800 students in this out-of-school time space. In order to make this happen, our partnerships are absolutely critical. As you can imagine, the amount of staff it takes to serve 192 kids after school for an extra 2.5 hours, what that looks like is a lot. So we're very fortunate to have many community partners that support us in that way. Family engagement, again, that is the #1 thing that we do. As a matter of fact, if you spend a penny, you have to tell me how you're going to engage a family in that work. Sometimes the engagement might be more around improving communication. Other times it might be face-to-face. Other times it might be engaging families in volunteer opportunities in the school. We also are able to, one of those wraparound services was really focused on the parent educational needs. So being able to better understand and support our families. We currently have over 120 parents taking English classes. We have an awesome partnership with Hagerstown Community College, and we have English classes going on in 5 buildings across our school, and that is all free of charge to any family member of a student enrolled in a community school. So very proud of that work, and we're getting ready to roll out, hopefully by spring semester, GED classes as well. And then again, so many different initiatives based on the needs and interests of our families and our schools. And Angela, I think we'll take a second to talk about your other passion projects. In terms of engaging with partners and serving communities. All right, yeah, we're good. Next. So based on that needs assessment, some of the things beyond out of school time is one of the top things that comes up across every single one of our schools. Opportunities to engage in extracurricular activities. One of the other top needs identified across all stakeholders, students self-identifying, parents and family and caregivers identifying for their students as well as staff, is better being able to support the mental health and behavioral needs of our students. So I've just kind of thrown up here a few of the things that we've been able to do with our funding as well to enhance the supports we have for students. Multiple schools, we've brought in additional social workers, additional guidance counselors, have a variety of new positions that have come out of community schools, multilingual family liaisons, so having bilingual staff available to meet with and support our students and their families in their first language. We have semi-quasi-case management role, family connector, navigator to really support the needs one school has added. We have another school that has added a position. So in Washington County, kids in school, it's encores, right? That's your music, your art, your encores. We have a school that was able to add an encore position that is specifically to work on social emotional learning. So they are working with those kids, peer development skills, everything you can imagine. And already after 1 marking period, the number of referrals and discipline necessary in that school has dropped dramatically. It's absolutely amazing. And there's a lot of family engagement in that as well, so it's very exciting stuff. Next one, Scott. So again, family engagement, you can see what we do there, working with our partner organizations around meeting the food, clothing, and hygiene needs of our students. So another really HARC, all of our schools have markets going on in them, but as well as health and wellness, so connecting students to those services. And we are actually able to, with the community school support, we can provide the transportation to and from all of their appointments, if that is a barrier for them. We have drastically increased access that's on that one. Here's some of our partnerships. As you can see, we partner in a variety of ways. A lot of it in our extended learning programming. And as you can see down at the bottom, those were our two big exciting initiatives.
You have the longest title, I like that.
What was that?
You have the longest title.
You do have the absolute longest title. It's more than a line. So this is just some of the work we do and some of our partnerships, and it has been. Again, we talk in our planning meetings and have. I guess this was about a 9-month journey. I think since the first time we all got together. It's probably yeah. So very excited. I think that's what I have. Right? What's my next? My contact information. Yep. This is how you can reach me. And please, if you have any interest, we can share out those schools specifically if you're interested in working with or serving a community, whether it's close to where you live or the community that you'd like to serve. I'd be more than happy to get you connected. And Angela can talk to you about how you can connect specifically with our very long titled amazing partnership. Oh, yes.
How many schools have life skills classes, teaching life skills?
So actually, a lot of what we're doing in our out of school time, we're not necessarily calling it life skills. And yes, so we have financial literacy programming going on. We have a lot of cooking going on. Now, one of our community schools is actually Marshall Street. So we have a whole building that is nothing but life skills instruction and working with our young adults with disabilities and a lot of programming going on there. But would certainly be open to any other ideas you might have in terms of getting that programming in. And it's also, we are now, secondary was a new thing, right? Our first 8 schools were all elementary schools, and then we added a couple of middle schools, and then last year we added South High. And now this year we've added Hancock Middle Senior High School, right? So we envisioning what out of school time looks like and serving our high school students in extended learning is much different, yet the life skills and preparing for an independent future could be a really great path for them. And we're just in the infancy of really exploring what those needs and opportunities are. So I love that. Angela will probably take any ideas you have for Lighthouse too.
Yes.
Oh,
Is there busing provided for the kids for the after school?
yes, so I failed to mention that. The healthy meals, so every single student that stays for our extended learning programs in all of our schools are provided with a meal for free, as well as transportation. So we are not able, I'll use Eastern and Ramps, they have 23 buses during the school day between their 2 schools, and we have 2 buses. So we operate in what we call hubs. So a parent might need to get a little further away. Their bus stop might not be their normal bus stop, but we do have that. And actually, I just got off the phone with transportation. We have 1 bus, we've got 153 kids we're busing right now for Eastern and Ramps. Yes.
Question.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned in one of the early slides, in connection with something called Judy's House, I'm familiar.
Oh, Judy Center. Yes, okay, so the Judy Centers, those are a Maryland initiative, and Judy Centers serve parents, pregnant parents, and with children up to kindergarten. So it's like a birth to 5 program, and we're actually very fortunate. We have 3 Judy Centers in 3 schools that have Judy Centers in Washington County, Ruth M. Monroe, Bester, MK Dowd, and we just found out last month, Lincolnshire was just awarded a Judy Center grant. So with the Judy Center grant comes a teacher leader, like a coordinator position, as well as a support position, and their role is to go out and engage with parents with littles, pregnant moms and their families and the community, and really start working with them to prepare them for school. We have play groups that happen, there's a lot of parent education pieces that happen, support for receiving prenatal care. So Judy Centers, they are a Maryland specific thing. It's the Judith B. Hoyer Center, and it's pretty incredible. And we're braiding our funding, right? So all of these resources exist. We work hand in hand in our school schools that have Judy centers. It's kind of seamless. It just means that we have more services and supports in those buildings for parents with younger kids. So great question. Yes?
So if I understood you right, you said that you're currently serving 2,800 children, but that you have 8,000 wanting to be part of the program?
So, not quite. So that was from last year. We were able to serve 2,800 individual students, but our programming runs on a marking period. So each new quarter, kids can sign up again. So that was a total of 8,000 registrations. But some kids may have participated in all 4 marking periods, or some others. Now, in terms of a wait list, I'm honestly not sure where I am this year on the number of kids we've not been able to serve. Our programming, many start this week, more start next week, and then I'll kind of get a report back on how many kids we've not been able to serve. The need is always greater than what we can serve. And the reality is, additional programming might not always answer that need either. There comes a point in time where having 300 or 400 kids in a building after school, right? Like we can't provide them all with the transportation, the management of that many kids, right? So we do our best. We prioritize. Every school, when they're developing their program, they have to name their why. So why are they doing this? If they're doing it to make sure that their students who are missing more school than others are getting there, or their students who are underperforming in a certain area and need extra supports, then they'll kind of prioritize and make sure the kids who need this the most are kids that we know are food insecure. We're going to make sure that they have a spot, right? Because they're going to get, in many cases, a hot meal that they wouldn't have had before they go home. So we look at that to make sure our kids with the greatest need are having their needs met.
Now, has there been any kind of programming for kids on the gifted end spectrum who also have extra needs?
Absolutely. We have, I think 5 of our schools now that are community schools are also magnet schools. So they are absolutely involved in that. And we're getting ready to roll out. Williamsport Elementary was just added this year. We're getting ready to roll out at Williamsport the beginning of December. And what's really exciting is actually their magnet teachers are putting together STEM programming for kids who are not in the magnet program. So the other thing we're able to do is provide kids who are in a school and may not have access to that curriculum because they weren't identified as gifted, still be part of that. Eastern, we have a strong, actually, our GATE kids were probably one of the highest participants at Eastern because we did chess club and a drama club, and those kids, like through their work, they were just really interested in that. So yeah, they certainly have access as well.
Two-part question. As an educator, you know that we overuse acronyms. On your mental health and behavior, you listed something called PBIS.
Yeah,
Positive behavior.
positive behavior intervention. What it means is really looking at all of the, yes.
And the other half of that question was, I have a kind of familial involvement at Clear Spring, that's middle. I noticed that they're going to be done in Duncan City. Any thought what's going to happen in Clear Spring?
So to be perfectly honest with you, it is all based on poverty rates. Poverty rates. So it's legislated, and I am not sure where Clear Spring lands on the list. I know that there are potentially 5 more schools on the bubble, and they may end up.
Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Angela?
I'm going to introduce.
Oh,
Before I introduce Angela, thank you to Kim. And if you were a part of the original planning group, I'd like you to just raise your hand and tell us what community you're a part of.
Doug Hoffman, pastor of John Wesley, Methodist Church, Lockwood.
Richard Wilson, member of John Wesley.
and HARC program.
Yes.
Hark Living Group, yeah. Kathy's been in all of our meetings.
Yep.
Kathy?
Yeah.
Steve?
Steve Humphrey, pastor of Rockland, Memphis.
Ashley Harris, Jesus Christ
Amen. We were blessed at one of our last meetings when Kim had helped us figure out where are we headed. And I don't know if it was Patty, but we looked at each other and thought, Angela is marvelous. And she's sitting at the table, she knows everything that we're doing. Why don't we ask her to lead us? And she said she would. So I want to introduce you to Angela and look forward to hearing what you've been doing.
Okay, I'm short, so I just want to make sure Scott can see me when we give him the signal. So how I got involved, I was not in the original steering committee, but I did went to a HARC meeting, which was held at our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, with Dr. Savine. I don't know if you guys remember. And so we were talking about a lot of the needs of the school. And then for the past 12, 13 years, I've been involved in youth nonprofits here in Washington County. I do a lot of mentoring and different things involving the youth in our community. And so I went after the meeting, I went up to Kathy and then Dr. Savine. I said, Kathy, if you guys want to hear, I might have some ideas. And Kathy said, oh, do you want to come to our next meeting? And I said, okay. And I came to the next meeting. I was sitting there, and there was a lot of good ideas thrown around. And I think about all of us felt like, okay, how do we, like, where do we go from here? With all those wonderful ideas, all those people, all different churches want to do good things to serve our community. Where do we go from here? So when Kathy and Scott and everybody kind of turned around and looked at me and say, do you want to do it? And I said, give me some time to think about it, because I feel like I have a lot of things already, and I just want to make sure if I commit to something, I'm able to give my 100%. And so after some prayer and consideration, and I say, okay, let's see, I'll do it for the summer and see where we go. I see we can get this started. And then as the time goes on, and I feel like I kind of took this as my baby now, and so that I kind of just stayed and I did it. But we did make it happen, which is very exciting. So for my part, I just want to kind of give you guys an overview where we are now, like what we have been doing. And so we were able to, after a summer of planning, we were able to have different programs in the after-school program. And I think just to go with what Kim said earlier, that like our goal really is to serve and then to get the kids back in school. And really what draw me into this project is actually those wraparound services, because by working in the community for the past 12, 13 years, I saw the needs of the families in our community. A lot of them have transportation challenges, Micah's backpack, with HARC. Kids in our community are worried about food. By having this, by participating in this after-school program, they get transportation, they get dinner at school. How can we not help those kids? And so that's kind of what drew me in first. So without further ado, next. So here is some pictures I got from the school for, so this is actually one of our programs, the MC program. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that later. If you can just see some of the kids and what they're doing. They learn about literacy, they learn about rhythm and movement and performing in that class. So, and that's one, it's very exciting. So here's where we are now. So for marking period 1 and 2. So for the first 2 quarters, for marking period 1, we were able to have 6 programs, which filled 12 programming slots. And so each slot was kind of a class, right? And for each programs we offer, we probably serve about 10 to 15 kids in each of those, so you can kind of calculate about how many kids that we serve in those classes. And we were able to have those programs in 5 different schools. In marking period 2, which some started this week, more will start next week, we will offer 8 programs to fill 17 programming slots in 5 different schools. And so here are some of the programs we currently offer. The MC program, so it's a foundation of rapping and writing, and students will learn about rhythm, beat, flow, perform, and writing poetry, and the world travel. It's about world culture and languages to help them have through art, music, and movement. Game club is literally they are there just to play board games, because children learn through play. So one of our programs have this great idea of having this club so they can learn about math when they're playing dice games. They have to be able to work together because they're doing games together as groups, work on their social skills. They have to understand how to play the game. So they have to be able to read and follow, and so that also helps them with their literacy skills. And then, who makes the rules is actually civics class that we have into schools. It's a fun way for them to learn about government and how the government works, and to encourage the students to be civically engaged. I actually just dropped in on them yesterday. They learned about, we just had an election, how does election work, how does the popular vote versus the electors, and so it was a pretty interesting conversation. And then Make Money Moves is literacy, financial literacy class. It's our partnership with, I'm going to say Human Society again, Habitat for Humanity. So they were able to come help us to provide a financial literacy class for the kids, because they know they need to know. A lot of them don't even know how to keep a budget, and they just know, credit card, we can just swipe, right? That's how mom and dad do everything. It's not wrong. But it's just the skills that they can learn and to use for the rest of their lives. And then we also have right now 2 arts and crafts programs that are being offered as well. Next. And then we're very excited for Marking Period 2. We'll have a mindfulness, meditation, and yoga class in a middle school, which I'm super excited about. If you ever been into a middle school, you will know the mindfulness and yoga class is very much needed. So, and then we'll also have a kindergarten literacy class in one of our elementary schools as well. And so they will work on they kind of build on what they're learning during the day, during the school day, and then kind of build on what they already learned and through different fun things and games, and build on their literacy skills. So for looking ahead, we already have some. So we have an astronomy club that's starting from somebody from the Tri-State Astronomers going to come do a class for us, teach them about all things astronomy. And then we might have a cooking club start in Marking Period 2-3 as well. And so, like Kim was saying, the needs is great. And I'm here, if you have any ideas, that's my role, is to kind of, when I reached out to different churches at the beginning to recruit, say, hey, do you know anybody have the talents to share with us to be able to help us with this program? I was very mindful of, let's kind of go back to what Kim says, to offer them a variety of things, right? And we want to have financial literacy, we want to have physical education, we want to have arts and crafts and music and all of those things. And so I think there's still some holes in my mind that needs to be filled. If you look at the variety of programs that we currently have, I think it's a great start. But so I think that's our ask as for, from our faith community is, a lot of you will probably, how can we help? Which is our next slide, is we are still in need of volunteers. We have all those programs. Most of our programs are run by one program lead, one teacher in the classroom, and sometimes it's a lot to manage. Like say, for example, the game club. When they play games, we probably should have one adult at each table just to make sure everybody is doing doing the right things. And so we need volunteers to be in there to help us, and also for volunteers to sometimes to be able to be a substitute for those teachers if they're not available or have emergency or sick or whatnot. But we'll also need more program leads who will be able to provide or teach a class for us as well. So that's kind of where we're at. And forgot those pictures. Sorry. I want to say. So the top right corner is that's the picture I took yesterday. That's the one when they were discussing election. It was a very exciting discussion. And then the bottom is the game club. They're playing Uno, and in the beginning they do some cheers and everything. And so I think everything is we're serving all the kids, and I think that's what the program leads whenever I talk to them or check in with them, and that's what they tell me too. Like they feel like they are doing something important in our community. Yes.
Angela, could you just review real quick the steps if someone here wants to volunteer starting in 2 weeks or maybe this week? They're so excited about what they've seen. Well, what are the steps? Do they need a background check? What do they need to get in the classroom to help us Linda with the
Yes. The first thing you need to do is next slide.
Oh, sorry. That was not.
To contact me. No, it was a perfect segue. Thank you. And so the first thing you need to do is just to let me know that you're interested, and you're interested in helping, you're interested in leading a class. And yes, because we are working with WCPS, everyone that we send into the school will need a background check. And the background check is run by WCPS. And if you are a volunteer, just say you're just gonna be there to help like one day. Usually the school will be able to run what they call a call background check right there on site. I just need to let them know you're going there, and they just need your driver's license, fill out a form, and you're good to go. But for everybody who will be in the classroom, you will need a background check. If you are interested to leading a class, I kind of just need an idea of what the class will be about, and so then I can present it to the steering committee and say, hey, this is what we are offering right now. But if you just want to come and be a volunteer, just shoot me an email or give me a call. So it's a simple process.
So, one of your slides interested me. I saw something on PBS with the success they've been having with yoga and mindfulness at elementary and middle. Where did you do it here, and what was the reaction?
So the mindfulness and yoga class has not started. That will start next week. But so usually the school, so I work with Kim. This will not happen without the Kim support.
This is not happening without Angela.
Yeah, so we're a great partnership. But so we'll work with the school. We'll find a space that's appropriate for whatever classes. Like you can see, the game club is happening in the school library because that's where all the tables are, all the round tables are, and so that's what we're doing. We have class in the back, in the classroom. We have class. There were some classes in the gym, and so just whatever space that's appropriate for what the class is about, we'll work with the school to make sure that happens. Any other questions? Yes.
What times of year are you setting up the new programming? So if they have a program lead, when in the meeting asking for program leads, are you thinking you have enough time to get an assistant?
So I would say as early as possible. Kim and I literally sat down and did the marking period 2 about a month ago. And so right now, all the marking period 2 class programs already set. And so for anybody who would come to me now and say, Angela, I have this idea, can we make it happen? That will be the next marking period. So that will at the beginning, and towards the end of January, beginning of February starting time. But which is a good thing, because we need to let the school, we're offering this program, and so they can identify the kids that we can serve in those programs. So it's a good thing that we have this little time.
So probably, I'm thinking Angela and I will probably be sitting down the 2nd and 3rd week in December to kind of finalize everything
For marking period 3.
3, so that right after the first of the year, our kids can sign up for the clubs. So you got some time to go create.
Right, and like the cooking club, like I just found out last week that there might be a possibility, and so we're planning for marking period 3, which give us some time, which we appreciate to be able to make that happen.
So these clubs and activities, do they meet every day after school, or do they meet like once a week after school? What would be the time commitment?
Great question. I can't believe I didn't cover that. Thank you for asking that. So, like Kim said, different schools have the after-school program on different days. Most of the schools that we're working with right now have 4 days a week. Some of our 3 days a week. So usually Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Thursday. So if you were to want to volunteer, the time commitment is up to you. So some of my volunteers or program leads say, I can only make one afternoon a week work for me. We will just put them in the school in a program that's only 1 day a week. But I also have program leads who can do 3 or 4 days a week. Then we just work with them with their schedule. And because we're serving different schools, some schools do their after-school program earlier, say about 2:45. Some of the schools start their program later, 3:30, 4 o'clock. And so depends on what your ability is. We're lucky that the school is very flexible. I can work with Ken and figure out whatever that works for you. So we will work with you to make sure if you want to commit, we want you to be here. Does that make sense? Thank you for asking that. Thank you. Yes.
Can you share whether program leads are volunteer or paid?
Yes. So program leads are paid. That is kind of built into our budget because it is, you do need time to plan, so we understand that. But I also have program leads who are volunteers because they know we're running on grants and we're a nonprofit, our budget is limited, and so they just said I just want to do it as a volunteer. But for the most part, program leads are being paid on an hourly rate, and we classroom time, and we also build in planning time we build in 1 hour of planning time for 5 hours of classroom time. And so program leads are being paid unless you tell us you don't. And we also actively looking for other community partners like Habitat for Humanity to be able to partner with us, and they will cover all the costs for sending that program lead into the school, but working through us. So we're not paying them, but Habitat for Humanity is paying for their time. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
On each of your tables, so you've heard 2 things you can do to support the Lighthouse recruit. The other is have your faith community join. And so there's a couple of sheets on each table. So this congregation is the first one in, and only because I'm the steering committee chair. So we've already joined. And joining the covenant, we're designating a person from the faith community to serve on the Lighthouse After-School Program Steering Committee. And you got me, and I think we got Kim right now as well. So there's 2 of us. Recruit from the faith community volunteers who will assist in the classroom. Recruit from the faith community volunteers who will be program leaders. Provide funds from the faith community's budget, or do fundraising or grant writing. If you could help us out with funding, it's very important. And then regularly pray for our mutual ministry, the Lighthouse. So I can make extra copies available, but if you're willing to, if you're a faith leader in your church, take it and make it happen. If you have other congregations that aren't here but have friends, please share it with them. And we meet monthly. Right now we're meeting in this space for the steering committee. We're meeting monthly. A lot of stuff's happening, and it's happening, and it's marvelous. So please consider that. Also, Kathy's provided flyers. Another real way to help this program is to keep it in front of your congregations. Put it in newsletters, put it on poster boards, especially when the cycles are hitting where you need program leaders. We'll send out a request. We need program leaders. We need you to be finding them for us because we're processing, and we need to be able to plan for that. So thank you all, and I'll invite Kathy Calvary to come forward. Yes?
Okay, so what Scott said about the point that I again forgot to mention is we do go through the cycle of meeting program leaders, because some of our program leaders say, I can only come in for one marking period, 1 quarter. So then we'll have them for 1 quarter and then we'll lose them. So then we'll kind of need somebody else to kind of step up and lead another program. So we are in constant need of those program leaders to be able to help us provide programming.
That worked out well. Any other questions for Scott or Angela or Kim before we go to announcements?
Kim, may I just offer something? So it has been a singular joy for me to be part of this. It is one of the funnest parts of my month to go to this meeting, and I just want to encourage any of you who are considering, if you're a pastor or leader of the house of worship, it is just a joy. We laugh so much in our steering committee meetings. And what was our original goal? Like 48, Angela, 48 clubs, maybe 12,
Which I got looks for.
So we are, right. So,
And look at us blowing up there.
Yeah, Kim just kept going up. She was like, 12, no, you can do this, you can do this, you can do 48.
so we have wonderful lay leaders here in your houses of worship. Of course, amazing worship, amazing house of worship leaders here. How many goals do we make in our churches for what we'd like to see happen that actually get exceeded? You know, and that's what we're experiencing with this. I mean, we have more clubs already on tap than we had hoped for, and this has been an amazing thing to be a part of. So thanks for many thanks to Amy and for